when I get a fuck ton of money, I'm just going to collect badges like a motherfucker. Yeah. Super pill. Head rattle. Power jump. There's the other ice smash. The other damage dodge. It's actually not that bad to get. Well, you know what? Not spending money on much else, I'll just go ahead and buy it. Now, if I'm right on the one rat guy, I think is gone now. Okay, you have 3 chapters to give him 300 coins.
Because they intend for it to seemingly be one
100 per chapter, yes.
One chapter each. But that's how chumps do it.
Okay. Alright. I will check the troubles. First. 8. Now, thinking about the order of things and just other shine sprites.
Honestly, I would say, given what is next, actually wait on Vivian. Upgrading Vivian in this next chapter is worthless.
There is some truth to that, but at the same time, given the way the shine order works, it's not like we can easily backtrack, and that chapter's full of shines, and I would have... It's 3 to upgrade, and I'm going to have exactly enough to do something else, and Vivian having slightly more damage isn't...
Though,
what?
Like I said, I'm not going to say most of what you fight in the next chapter, but most of the enemies, Vivian can't damage.
I mean, there's some truth to that. But this is still sort of convenient for some other stuff. Alright, okay. So, I'm going to check something. There's that one. And there's the legendary book. But I'm probably only going to do the legendary book.
Because the other one requires more backtracking.
Basically. So yeah, they're both available. I mean,
so it might be the one maybe after the legendary book thing. There's something that was added in this game that, unless people were wrong, or seeing people say you could only do after chapter 5.
So, alright. Took on my trouble, but it's really important, so listen up, Mr. Klutz. There was a great legendary chef named Martre Delish. Rumor has it, you instantly become a better chef by reading his book. Fortunately, it's an old book that's hard to find, stores don't carry it. Recently heard that someone who used to live in Creepy Steeple had a coffee. There are many secret rooms in Creepy Steeple.
Does that mean Doofless is the one that had a coffee?
Or someone died.
I feel like that's what they're supposed to be going for.
So it's moldering there somewhere. Just have to get my hands on it. Help me out, Stumblebum. Ah! That's it! The book! Yeah, my trade release. Give it here quick. Ah! I see! Ah!
And then, because this is the first time with this, you can't skip this cutscene, I'm guessing.
No. I got it now! Just glaze a mushroom with honey syrup and yum! Honey mushroom! Brilliant!
You You need a fucking cookbook.
No, I
for
can
that.
use recipes that require true ingredients. That's some book. Talk about effective.
You needed a cookbook to tell
And
you to
Mr.
do
Saggers,
that.
take this as your reward. Or I could give you a reward, but you have too much stuff. Just leave it here, so grab it whenever. You can use recipes that require true ingredients. Okay. Alright. Then, hold on, I'm gonna do... use one item. If you cook golden leaves on their own, and then you can just skip it. And then mushroom and maple syrup.
Every type of mushroom and every type of syrup has a combination, meaning that you need
Yes.
3 fucking ultra shrooms to combine them with a honey syrup, a maple syrup, and then a jam and jelly.
Yes.
Because like that was the honey mushroom, and you made the maple mushroom.
Yes. To clear out inventory. That's generally
And
all.
that's why I said that's in the long term, the spending the like hour on the whole happy like lucky lottery was super useful.
Full to get a
Because you
buck.
have like 5 or 6 ultra shrooms now,
Yes.
meaning you can actually
We
you
use.
could actually use those for later recipes.
Yes. Yes, we could. So. That's all I was going to do because that was quick, but I was going to talk about Vivian right quick because we talked about this on GameCube.
Did
and
we? I don't actually
no,
remember.
we talked. I think we talked a bit about this, but damn it, at the time I didn't look into things because I just said what some other people had said. Also, I need to go check one thing. I don't know if I flipped a panel over here. It's been a minute. I don't remember. There's a panel, right? Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't. Good. Okay. That was worth it. So, Vivian in English in this game, they take Vivian and they more directly make Vivian trans. In the original GameCube version, the Japanese translation basically took Vivian in a direction that was always a bit vague given the language, and I'm going to talk about this right quick and then end off. So, in Japanese, Vivian's sisters generally use the term in Japanese that is basically a term for a man
The term means young boy, basically.
No. Not young boy. It's the variant of the term that means boy that dresses like a woman. There is a variant of the language, and they use the variant, that means, like, the way to hyperliterally translate it is male daughter, and it means a man that dresses like a woman, and Vivian's sisters constantly call her that term, meaning they're calling Vivian a man. And when you first meet them in Bogley Woods, the text is roughly, I don't see 3 shadow beauties.
Yeah, because what Vivian calls them isn't the Shadow Sisters, it's
Shadow beauties. I don't see 3 shadow beauties. I see, basically, it's like I see 2 beauties and an ugly cross-dressing man. And Vivian gets offended and basically has to kind of backpedal. It's like, I'm sorry, sis, it's a mistake. So, because Vivian is addressed as a man at that point and backpedals, certain idiots will say, oh, Vivian is a cross-dressing man. But then, if you use Goombella, and I'm going to try to not prattle too long.
Yeah, I don't want to go on about this too long because I don't want to give those motherfuckers
Yes,
the time
but
of day.
I'm explaining a few things just to say
I know this is very convoluted. I have asked people who are native Japanese speakers about this shit before because of how convoluted and messy it is. Because another aspect of it, I don't want to give certain motherfuckers like the time of day, but the term that they use in the original Japanese version can, in Japan and like the Japanese language, also be used to refer to a basically, I believe it was, ugly woman, because you're saying a woman looks like a
we
man.
are going to get there. Just hold on. I need to say this, and then I'm ending. This is important. I'm going to truncate. So then, if you tattle, it's like, oh, Goombella's, oh, that's, like, Vivian, and she's... Goombella is like, oh, that's Vivian, and then she says that he uses fire magic and is like Belbum and Marilyn's brother. And then other NPCs also look at Vivian and are like, oh, that boy with them? Or they'll get kind of confused. Boy? Like,
And then we'll have like a question mark.
they don't know. And a bunch of people are like, see, the NPCs in Goombella say man, Vivian's a cross-dressing man, you guys are dumb. But then Vivian never once refers to herself in Japanese by male pronouns. She uses feminine words. And if Vivian was a cross-dressing man, why would she get pissed off and upset that someone called her a man? Drag queens don't care if you call them men, because drag queens know that they're not women. They just dress up as a woman. Unless Vivian, you're going to try to convince me that Vivian is just getting into method character acting and is pretending to be a woman in that context and is mad that someone's breaking her role, but Flurry's the actress and Vivian doesn't come off like she's acting. And the part that at the time I didn't have context for, that everyone conveniently ignores in this nonsense, near the end of the game...
To be fair, because it's at the end of the game, you have to get to the end to get there.
Goombella apologizes and starts using feminine pronouns. Vivian never...
Though, I believe in an unfortunate shitty part of that, they never update the NPC dialogue for that.
No, they don't. But,
so, yeah.
But, just follow my logic here, and then we'll end off. I'm going to say a couple of extra things, and then stop. This was important. So, at the time, I was always confused because Japan, even in the native Japanese, it is unclear. And the two common ways that people sort of read into this is that Vivian is either a person who was born male but identifies as female, meaning Vivian is a trans woman overcoming adversity, or B, and B also works, and I'm not trying to be transphobic, just hear out the B. Vivian was always a biological woman, and the man comments are just Beldam being a dick.
Because Japan
has unrealistic beauty standards, and calling a woman a man.
Like I said...
You're saying she doesn't meet the unrealistic beauty standards? And then if other people think she's a man, then maybe Vivian doesn't meet these unrealistic beauty standards, so then it's not a story of a trans woman. It is the story of a, like, biological woman who is just being called a man because she doesn't meet beauty standards. So then it's a story of a woman
because the other thing was the that one term that I can't remember what the term is off the top of my head in Japanese, when that is used to refer or to basically a woman that you're saying is ugly because they look like a man or something, I believe it is literally written and pronounced the same. The one difference is if you are doing it in text and not verbally is, I believe, when it's the insult, it is written with kanji, because I believe kanji is the Japanese alphabet that adopts foreign words, whereas if it's written with katakana, you are referring to someone who is male.
And the whole issue...
I don't remember which...
To wrap this up...
I don't remember which writing
my
style
whole
they
point
used in the
is
original.
the problem that I always had with the trans interpretation in the initial Japanese was you could read, oh, trans woman overcoming adversity and being called a man, because Beldam is not using Vivian's preferred pronouns, and that makes sense. Or Beldam is calling her biological sister a man as an insult. And then this would be a biological woman overcoming unrealistic beauty standards.
Yes.
And that interpretation makes sense.
Especially when you look at how fucked the culture is, was that...
And to wrap this up, those interpretations were why I was always...
Like, wasn't there a thing of, wasn't there a thing in Japan at some point where, like, Japanese women were literally getting surgery to make their cheekbones smaller?
Yes.
To, like, make them appear cuter and younger?
Younger, yes! Unrealistic beauty standards! And this was a Japanese game!
Yeah.
So, a non-trans woman overcoming unrealistic beauty standards
Not
is...
just unrealistic beauty standards, if you're going to really play into this, the one calling Vivian ugly, the character that is always specified to be the youngest of the three, has a stereotypical witch nose, and the other one is a fat one.
Yeah.
So there are things that would be seen as conventionally
Really ugly and unattractive,
unattractive.
calling someone who is debatably the best looking of the three ugly, which you could also take in a way that is them overcompensating, but then other characters seeing Vivian as a man could also say maybe she doesn't meet unrealistic beauty standards, and this would be a, like, God damn it, alright. Stopping myself for a second, because I got tongue-tied. This would be what I was trying to say, a non-trans woman dealing with unrealistic beauty standards. Or the trans interpretation, and both made sense.
Yes.
The problem with the other interpretation is, oh, she was a man this entire time. If she's just a drag queen and doing cross-dressing, why does she hate male pronouns? That's kind of weird. Cross-dressers and drag queens don't hate male pronouns unless they're in character in a show, but outside of a show, they normally don't care because they don't view themselves as the opposite gender.
See Mr. Tube on Clay from One Piece, where Mr. Two is a cross-dresser. That's why he refers to himself as male.
Yes. And my whole point, I'm going to end off, I just wanted to...
Yes, I think this has gone on like 10 minutes.
Yes, it did! I
can hear the chuds getting angry. We need to stop now.
I needed to explain the reason I was always confused.
Yes.
Because it was unclear! Or,
Yes.
without...
Like I had said...
Because Vivian refers to herself in Japanese with basically equivalents of feminine pronouns. Which is why I said the two interpretations, you're either you're a trans woman that is overcoming transphobic comments, and you're basically, owning up to the fact that you are a basically valid individual and that all these transphobic people around you can fuck off, or B, you're a biological woman that is overcoming unrealistic beauty standards and being called a man was purely an insult.
Yes.
And my problem was either way, this could be taken as...
Either way, this works.
That was my issue. I'm not trying to be transphobic.
Because Japan in 2004 was not the most progressive when it came to certain issues like that.
Yes, and the vagueness was my problem. Because they didn't super explicitly 100% make it clear.
Well, because like I said, it's the final time I'll bring it up.
Yes.
Again, that word is literally written and pronounced the same as both, just referring to someone as male and insulting women. There is barely any way to easily...
And the trans variant of the word that has taken on use in Japan for trans people didn't really exist in 2004.
You know,
My problem was always...
Final point, because like I said, I don't want to go on about this longer because I can hear certain people in the back getting very...
I like dark spaces behind this message board. Maybe I'll hang out here more often. Darkly.
I can hear certain people in the back getting very angry. Last thing, which is again another level to this that adds a uncomfortable level, and it's not the word they use for Vivian. A lot of people, because I brought up Mr. 2 in One Piece, will probably say Okama, because for years that was the word in Japan, which Okama technically originally was meant to refer to a man cross-dressing as a woman. However, because
you know what? While we're still... I might go get that other attack increase badge.
What other attack increase badge? Oh,
from Dazzle!
Oh, that one.
While we're on... You have a minute, I'll go, motherfucker!
Basically, this is from my understanding of it. I don't know how things have changed.
Well, I actually... Since we're extending, I want to turn this into something important. Because it's something that no one ever does. It's time for the question of the day and my overall thoughts on the topic. So, anyway, what is your overall opinion on the whole trans controversy with Vivian, including all of the different changes that they made in the localization for the remake? And on top of that, I also want your general opinion on all information related to this controversy, including information from the GameCube era, because I feel like a lot of the original translations and localizations paint a very clear picture, even if it is a little bit confusing. Because, like I said at the time, back in the day, I was generally unsure how to read into Vivian's character, because you could interpret Vivian as a trans woman that's overcoming transphobia and general adversity, or you could interpret Vivian as a cis woman that's overcoming unrealistic beauty standards and general gender stereotypes. And I think you have a strong case either way. And this was also back in 2004, even though I played the game a little bit later than other people. I was still playing it in the range from 2004 to about 2007, but I don't remember when I got the game. It was likely 2005 or 2006, honestly. But again, I can't really recall when I got the game. And as a child, I took the game at face value, and I only learned about the whole trans controversy later on, after finally gaining my own personal internet access, because I didn't really have my own personal internet access for years. And at that point, a lot of the discourse was incredibly vague and confusing, and a lot of people never presented the evidence that I talked about in this video. And overall, I do think that evidence that a lot of people ignore paints a far more clear and concise picture, and I don't think making Vivian trans is a bad thing. I honestly think that still fits her character, and it does seem like this was their intent. But Japan, in 2004, handled the concept of trans people in a radically different way than they would have way later on. So having 10 years to essentially change and evolve, of course, they would basically have different concepts and ideas later on. And because a lot of that didn't really exist in a widespread sense, in 2004, it's hard to basically read into Vivian's character. So you can't blame me for being confused because both interpretations of Vivian, I think, are valid because I could get either one. And I do think the localization is fine. And I honestly think this fits her character. And a lot of people that were angry, I really do feel like need to get their priorities straight. Because this one change doesn't hurt the game. And the funny thing, like 6 months after the game came out, a guy randomly goes on this weird tirade about that change being bad and about the game basically being terrible now and how this isn't his 1,000-year door, even though he was going on this weird rant 6 months later after all the dumb people basically backed off because nobody cared. A bunch of people got big mad for 5 minutes, and that was that. It's not like this affected anything. Overall, we just had a couple of people that basically got incredibly mad and tried to ride this weird hate train. But whenever a weird hate train like that happens, most people ignore it and it generally goes away. So this weird controversy is more of a non-controversy because nobody cares except for a few crazy people. And in general, this never bothered me. It's just as a child and a teenager, I didn't know how to interpret Vivian's character because I understood two valid interpretations and it became difficult to fully understand which one was correct because they both made sense. Vivian being a trans woman makes just as much sense as Vivian being a woman that is cis, that doesn't meet unrealistic beauty standards and common gender stereotypes, especially when you consider Japan in 2004. A character like that existing makes a lot of sense. But this modern interpretation of Vivian's character, I think, is fine. And it pretty much seems like she was always intended to be trans. They just didn't handle that super well in 2004. So America basically removed any mention of her being trans. And that created a false narrative where people just assumed that the remake basically made her trans without having a real reason to make her trans outside of the dubious concept of wokeness. Like, they made her trans to be woke and modern, but that's stupid. That is not a thing. Modern translations can actually make her trans without being weird about it, unless you're a weird person on the internet that needs to check your priorities. But anyway, I've been rambling nearly 10 minutes now. You can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments, or you can leave them on social media. All of my social media links, as well as my Discord links, are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a shill for a minute. If you subscribe to the channel, and if you follow me on social media, that really helps our communities grow. But Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. And I hope I will see you all next time. So, as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. I hope you come back someday. See you later.